All right, so before I get into the actual presentation, I wanted to do a little intro on myself. My name is Alexis Schomer. I own a digital marketing agency called Simply Branded. I've been doing digital marketing for the past 8 years now. I'm also a 2-time international best-selling author, and I co-authored a book. My chapter was about starting your business early. It was called Hacks for Studentpreneurs, and I wanted to share my experience, starting a business in college, and all the resources available to you at your university, such as Hub 101, which is an amazing resource with other, aspiring college students. So wrote that book to hopefully inspire others to start their business early. And lastly, I often, speak at events, and I've become a business and marketing coach for a lot of my clients. And I also mentor some younger female entrepreneurs through Hub 101 and through other programs as well. So the way that this presentation will go, I will pretty much lecture for probably about 20 minutes. Then we'll dive into an interactive activity where you guys will actually develop your own custom hashtag strategy. And then we'll finish off with some Q&A, any other topics I missed, and answer any questions you guys have. So first things first, understanding the Instagram algorithm. Now, everyone's heard about the algorithm. It's always changing. Nobody really understands it, but I'm going to break it down for you into 3 main categories so that you can understand how it works and hopefully learn some tricks to help you kind of beat the algorithm. So the first thing to understand about this is the relationship between you and your followers. So relationship has to do with all the ways you guys engage with each other. So are you tagging them in your posts? Are they tagging you in their posts? Are you commenting, watching each other's stories? All these factors affect how the algorithm will rank you on their feed. So the more you're engaging with someone, the more you interact. Now, think of a best friend. You're always tagging them, always commenting, always watching the story. So unlike best friends, sometimes businesses and brands won't have that type of relationship. So the way that you can earn that as a business on Instagram would be to have a really engaged and loyal following. The algorithm will recognize this, and it will benefit you in terms of how you guys rank. So having a strong relationship with your followers, having a really engaged and loyal audience is the first piece. The second piece is timeliness. I think it was in 2018, Instagram completely updated the algorithm and removed the chronology, and instead they use these 3 factors. But instead of the chronology, they still rank recent posts as more important. So let's say your followers are online at noon. If you post something right at noon, it's more likely that your followers will see it than if you posted it at 6 a.m. that morning. Now, the way that the algorithm works, it doesn't necessarily remove or hide any posts. It just pushes them farther down in a feed. So if someone scrolls forever, they will actually see every single post. The algorithm just comes into play to show which post to show first. So figuring out what time your followers are online, and this can be done through the analytics, will benefit you because then you can be posting right at that perfect time, getting on the top of the feed. And the last thing is interest. It's Instagram's job, it's the algorithm's job to find out what your people are interested in. So if you think about when you go to your explore page and what kind of content you're seeing there, thinking about any type of engagement like that, it's literally the algorithm's job to filter through that. So this is the one you can't really, take a shortcut here. You can't really fake having good content. So if you are producing content that nobody cares about, no one's engaging with, that's another way that the algorithm is going to kind of push your content down. So taking these 3 factors, when you think about creating content and how to post it, what time to post it, all that kind of stuff, this is how the algorithm works. So going a little bit deeper into what kind of goes on someone's feed, these are the 3 factors that make up your personal feed. So the first one is frequency of use. And so this is when you're trying to think about, how your followers see your content. These are the 3 factors. The first one is frequency of use, which means how often they go on the app. If they're going on multiple times a day, let's say they go on 4 or 5 times a day, it's more likely that they'll see your posts compared to someone that goes on once a week. The next one is following. How many people are they following? If someone is only following between 50 to 300 accounts, it's also more likely that they'll see all the content that's posted compared to someone following 5,000 accounts. So if your followers are only following a smaller amount of people, it's more likely that they're going to be a lot more engaged with you. And lastly, session time. This has to do with how long they spend on the app and how engaged they are. The more time they spend, the more engaged they are, the more likely they are to see your posts. So building your brand. This obviously can be done through social media, but I want to kind of start at the grassroots, square one. Building your brand starts with your logo, your colors, your font. And there's so much that's involved in a brand. It's not just the logo. It's about your brand voice. It's about how you show up in a newsletter. Are your captions written with the same brand voice that your emails are? So all of this should be done before you even try to go on social media. You should be filtering or figuring out your brand. You should have a solid brand book that outlines your colors and all that kind of stuff. And then, so when you go online, when you get to Instagram, creating your account, figuring out your bio, you actually have a solid brand and a complete brand book and brand guidelines so that your presence across all platforms is consistent. So you want to be showing up across all online platforms with the same brand message and brand voice. So building a brand online pretty much consists of three things: your bio and your links, your story highlights, and your feed design. And I'll break these down for you and show you examples of each one. First, we have your bio and your links. When you're writing your bio, you want to, you only have, I forget exactly how many characters, but you only have like 3 or 4 lines to get all the information across. So here's 5 bullets of what you should include. You don't have to include all of them. You include what's relevant to your business. But I think these are the kind of the 5 highlights of what should be included in a perfect bio. You should discuss what you're selling and who it's for. This way, your audience knows exactly that they're the right person for your product. The one that I think is the most important that people often forget about is how they can take the next step with you, which is like a CTA. So if you want somebody to enter a funnel or email you or sign up for a webinar, you need to write that in your bio. Or let's say for coaches, a lot of the first step is scheduling a discovery call. You should say, schedule your free discovery call here with a link to an arrow to your link. You also want to discuss why you're different and any relevant credentials. So for a lot of businesses, relevant credentials wouldn't really be in a bio, but maybe for a doctor or somebody that has specific credentials relevant, they would put them in. So having a short, concise bio with making sure you have a CTA in there is super important. And I'd be happy to help review people's bios, making sure that they're very clear and concise and also on brand. So this will be the first thing someone sees when they go to your profile, and then the second thing would be the link. And Instagram only allows you to have one link in your profile. So the way to get around it is by creating something called a link tree. What a link tree is it's a link that links to multiple links, exampled right here. So when somebody clicks the link on my personal profile, they'll be taken to my link tree, which has all these different links in it. And in these, you can include things like your offerings, any freebies you have, your website, different funnels, sales and promotions, or signing up for a newsletter. So I actually just condensed mine. I only have about 3 or 4 now, but you can add as many links as you want in a link tree. And this is the way to get around the 1 link maximum that Instagram allows you. Next, we have story highlights. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, I'll quickly review what this means. On Instagram, you can post something to your feed, which is your main profile. It's the square photo that you see when you scroll someone's profile. Or you can post a story, which is a temporary post that's pretty much in the top section, and it only lasts for 24 hours. But if you add it to your highlight, which is on your profile, the stories can last forever. So I recommend that every business or professional account has at least 5 highlights, and they'll be different depending on who you are and what you're offering. But this is just to show you what branded highlights look like. So this is my business account, simply branded. Everything's on brand with the gradient. And then for the personal account, everything's on brand with my personal brand colors. So I always recommend that everyone has an about highlight so that when somebody comes to your profile and they don't really know who you are, you might be new to them, you can easily click the about and get either a quick video introduction or a simple PDF introduction of who you are. And lastly, we have the branded feeds. So you can see up here, these are all the highlights for the businesses and accounts. And then we go into the feeds. And this is what I think is one of the other most important aspects visually for an Instagram account, especially for businesses. You want to have a feed that's not only on brand, but also attracts your target audience. Whether that could be, it doesn't have to be a pattern, like this one's kind of a checkerboard pattern. It could just be themes based on the brand colors, style, mood, anything like that. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of mood boards on Pinterest, but it's kind of the same idea. When you land on someone's Instagram, when you go to their website, you want to have the same look and feel on all online platforms. Engagement. So this is going to be the main way that you grow an account. And there's a few different types of engagement. The first one is engaging with your current audience. Now, this means liking posts, watching stories, commenting, messaging. You want to make sure that you're engaging with your current audience so that you can be boosted in the algorithm that we talked about earlier. If you're only focused on attracting new people and engaging with new followers, you're going to miss out on the current followers. Your engagement's going to be low and you're going to be pushed down the algorithm. So that being said, focus on engagement with your current audience. And one tactic that I like to use, if you really want to get good engagement around a new post, you should be engaging about 15 to 30 minutes before and after you're posting something. So let's say you have a post scheduled for 12 o'clock. You want to get on at 11:30 and engage with your current followers. And you also want to continue engaging after it's posted. This is the best way to increase engagement on a new post. And I know this might sound laborious, and there's really, not any way around it besides really doing the work or possibly hiring a personal assistant or a virtual assistant to do this. But Instagram has gotten really strict about bots and automation, and they're either kicking you off or removing your account, or possibly giving you a warning, possibly not. So it's really best to do all of this by hand. And that's why people often outsource to either a marketing agency or hire a virtual assistant to help with these steps. So next, new followers. This is engaging with people that are not currently following you and hoping that you can acquire them as a follower. So people often find new followers through hashtags, through competitor accounts, or through community accounts or community hashtags. And the way that you would engage with a new follower is you give them a follow, you like their post, watch their story, possibly comment, possibly DM. So the more engagement you do, the more likely you are to build your own following. Other tactics that I recommend would be also to do an unfollow sweep. So if you followed 1,000 people, you might want to kind of see who followed you back and unfollow the ones that haven't. But Instagram also has rules about how much activity you can have in a specific day. So if you followed 300 people in an hour, you're probably going to get either disabled, removed, or a block will be put on your account. So you have to make sure that you're kind of spacing it out throughout the day. And the rules are kind of changing all the time, but a good number to hit would be about max 200 follows per day. If you're a new account, you want to take the engagement really slow and build up, because if you have too much too fast, you'll get shut down. And Instagram's gotten really strict in the last year, but they've been making these rules since about, I think 2018 is when they started to get stricter, removing bots, banning accounts, things like that. So how do you build your brand? Besides what we've talked about so far with the visual, now we're going to get into the strategy. So we talked about brand guidelines that can pretty much determine how you look on Instagram, what your content should be about in terms of like big picture. But really, you should have a content strategy. You need to be producing content that people are engaged by, inspired by, or they're learning from it. So I like to say your content should be educational, inspirational, or entertaining. If it's not hitting one of those three categories, then why are you posting it? So you should continuously think about that when creating content. You also want to create content that's shareable. People, if somebody sees your post and shares it to their story, that means that it was good enough that they wanted other people to see it. So your content really should always be shareable. So before you create content, before you get on Instagram, you should develop a content strategy that outlines what are your pillars of content that you'll be posting. I often do this with clients before we go into social media management, where we'd sit down and do a content strategy session together, or I'll do it like for them. But it's best to put your team together, brainstorm different topics. You want to be posting many different categories of topics, from just strictly educational things to sharing your story, to sharing a failure, maybe sharing a pain point that your audience has, upcoming promotions, holidays. Usually after doing a content strategy, we have about 15 to 20 content pillars and content categories that you can cycle through. Testimonials, reviews is another great one. And then moving on to the hashtag strategy, this is another strategy you should be developing before jumping into social media. This is what we're actually going to do today in real time. And this consists of understanding the different types of hashtags and building out a strategy specifically for your brand or your business or your personal account. Okay, so we're almost ready for the activity, and I'm going to explain the 3 different types of hashtags that we'll be using. Just so you know, one statistic, adding one single hashtag to your post increases it by 12.6% on average. So hashtags really do work. But one thing to remember is if your account is private, the hashtags don't work the same because your post won't be shared similar to a public account because you're only allowing your followers to see your content. So the three main types of hashtags are branded hashtags, which are anything with your business name in it or something associated with your business. Industry hashtags are main industry hashtags. For mine, it could be example hashtag digital marketing. And then micro hashtags are similar, either community or industry hashtags that have a smaller following. So if you guys want to get out your worksheets right now, we're going to dive into the hashtag strategy. Just have to admit somebody new to the group. Okay, perfect. And everyone, you're going to need your cell phone, Instagram app, and a sheet of paper, either the hashtag strategy that I sent out or just a blank sheet of paper. So on every Instagram post, you're allowed to have 30 hashtags. And before you were allowed to leave some room for people in the comments to add hashtags, but Instagram has removed that feature. And now you can take up all 30. So you should at least have four different categories: main branded hashtags, main industry hashtags, and then 2 micro industry hashtags. And the reason for this is that if you are just using the main industry hashtags, you're going to get lost in the mix, especially if you're a smaller account. So for example, if I'm using hashtag digital marketing with 19.6 million posts, there's a 0% chance that I'll rank in the top 1% so that I'll be showed to people. So you do want to include them, but you also want to include micro hashtags with less than 50,000 posts, less than 15,000, less than 5,000, so that you can be engaging with these smaller communities where you actually have a chance to be found. And this is what we're going to research today. And it does take time to research this, but I want you all to have something to walk away with. And this is one of the most actionable and useful exercises I could think of because everybody should be using hashtags. So couple other things to remember: hashtag, you cannot have spaces in hashtags. Everything has to be one word. You can't have special characters like question marks or exclamation marks or things like that, but you can have emojis, and those have become really popular. So if you add a smiley face or a workout arm or things like that, those are part of the hashtag structure. Community hashtags have also gotten really popular. I have a couple examples of this. So for example, a product community hashtag could be something like hashtag coffee shop. A niche hashtag could be hashtag travel photographer. An Instagram community hashtag could be hashtag foodies of Instagram. And a special event hashtag could be hashtag National Donut Day. So this was definitely going to take research. And once, after this session, you guys can do more research, check out your competitors, check out your ideal account, see what hashtags they're using, and then check out how many posts those hashtags have to start categorizing them in these different categories. So when you post something, each post, you're going to want to have 30 hashtags, but you want to have a mixture of a nice blend of all of these. So we have branded hashtags, industry hashtags, micro hashtags. And lastly, I like to leave space for about 10 content related hashtags. So besides this core 20, let's say, you want to have hashtags that are pertinent to the specific post. So whatever topic you posted about, you want to have about 10 hashtags around that topic as well. So I know I've been talking a lot. I want to ask if anyone has any questions, and then I'll explain this a little bit more, and then we'll actually dive into this session. So if anyone has any questions, you can just speak right up.
I just had a quick question about the branded hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean by, for example, you had like simply branded. What did you mean by that kind of hashtag?
So for you, it would be hashtag Pure Lux, hashtag Pure Lux H2O, hashtag Pure Lux Water.
So essentially just your company's name, you'd be hashtagging over and over again.
Your company's name, but you can also develop kind of other hashtags. Like if you have a slogan or anything like that, it has to do with your brand. So anything around your brand. So it's not just the name by itself. That definitely is one of them. But if you had a slogan, or if you wanted to add, like for me, I could put simply branded LA, simply branded marketing, simply branded rocks, anything like that. So you want to develop a few of those. You can also have them be campaign related. If you're running a specific campaign, you would have a hashtag for that campaign or that slogan.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis, I might have missed it, but is this all this only applicable to Instagram, or is it relevant to other apps?
So it's relevant to other apps. Most social medias use hashtags: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I believe, I'm not necessarily sure about Pinterest, but most social medias are using hashtags. The in-depth that I go to explain it with all the rules is mainly pertinent to Instagram because we have the explore feed and we have other ways of finding new content. But yes, all apps or most social medias are using hashtags. I'm going to explain one more step on how to find the niche hashtags here, and then we can actually dive in. So when researching on Instagram, the way that you find these micro hashtags is building off of the main hashtag. So for digital marketing, you would go on Instagram, and if you guys want to do this in real time, I'll walk you through it. So everybody open up the Instagram app on your phone. And we'll do this together with my example so you can see how it works. So go to the search bar, which is the little magnifying glass in the bottom. We're going to type in the search, type digital marketing, and then click on tags. Okay, so next I want you to check out the results. So here we have digital marketing #1 with 19.6 million posts. As you scroll down, you see the hashtags with less and less posts. And in order to get to the micro hashtags that we're looking for, you might have to scroll for a while. So the trick that I like to use to find the micro hashtags is adding an extra letter at the end of the main hashtag so that it can give us another selection. So for example, let's add the letter B after digital marketing. So now we're seeing posts with 64,000, 16,000, 570 posts. And this is where we're going to find those micro hashtags. So digital marketing business has 82,000. That's kind of a lot. If we go down to digital marketing blogger, that's 3.2 thousand, and that would fit in our micro hashtag category. So adding a letter and doing the research to find the hashtags for these categories, also making sure it makes sense for your business. So that's the trick on how to do the research and find the hashtags. Also checking out competitor accounts and seeing how many posts are within those hashtags as well. But this is where I want to kind of do a small breakout, and I want everyone to do research for their own business based on the main hashtags you'd use to find these micro hashtags. So I want you to start off with just the micro hashtag category so that I make sure you guys understand the process, and then we can regroup, kind of share what we found. I've uploaded the samples that I did for Simply Branded. I might have changed, I think I left it at 15,000 and 5,000. So these are the 5 samples for each category that I did for Simply Branded in case you guys want to check them out. When you go to the search, you have to click on tags. When you click on the search button and then you type it in at the top, tags should come up as a result that you can filter by.
It's the symbol tag on mine. Pound symbol.
Anybody want to hop on and share a hashtag they found so far? That's a micro hashtag.
Hashtag plugin challenge.
Okay.
Plugin.
And so how many posts does it have?
702 posts.
Okay. So yeah, keep in mind for the micro hashtags under 5K category, we do want probably over 1,000. If you just have one that's under, it's okay. But if we have, if all 5 have less than 1,000 posts, we're kind of going too small there. So 1 to 5,000 posts is our sweet spot for that micro category.
I found one for alkaline. So I did alkaline letter P, and I found alkaline power that has about 1,000 posts on it,
Okay, perfect.
which I really liked. I'm trying to find one for something like elevated life or like healthy living, something like that. So that's what I'm actually looking for right now.
Okay.
Something health based.
Yeah.
Like that's a bracket that could be tackled.
So you could try healthy living style that has like just under 20,000, or healthy living daily, which has about 5,000, or healthy living motivation, which has 2,500.
Got it. So would anything over 20K be considered macro then?
There's not harsh boundaries here. So if you found one that has like 21,000, you can still include that. Sometimes when I'm doing this, if the account's a little bit larger, I'll go up to 50K. But if I'm assuming that everyone here has smaller accounts, so I kept the numbers a little bit more conservative. But if you have a bigger account and you have a broader reach, you can go up to 50K. And if you found one that's like 51,000, there's no harsh lines. These are just best practices that I've developed to create this strategy that I found that have worked well. But these are not like published by Instagram or anything like that.
So would you avoid hashtags in the millions altogether then for smaller accounts?
I would use only 5, which I would consider the main industry hashtags. So I would still include them in the post to have a variety of hashtags. Don't disclude them. But if you are only including those million post hashtags, you're never going to be found. But yes, include about 5 of them that are the main ones for your industry. You can also select these based on your competitors' posts. And if your competitors have really good engagement, you should really check out what hashtags they're using on those posts. Another thing I forgot to mention about engagement, Instagram also tracks how people engage with different types of content. So if it's a carousel, which is multi-photo, if it's a video, or if it's a single post, it's not necessarily, you're not dinged based on how you post, but your followers, the way the algorithm works is your followers will see content that they like best. So let's say I personally really enjoy carousels. Instagram will show me more content with carousels. So if you can actually kind of track this by looking at your analytics. And if you posted a carousel that did really well, that means your followers like that style of post. So you should be posting more carousel style content. You can have up to 10 hashtags per story and 30 hashtags per post. If accounts are big enough, sometimes they don't use hashtags. And sometimes they might have a different strategy, or they want their posts to look cleaner. That's why people put them in the comments. It's so that they're not spamming the actual caption. It's kind of trying to hide it within the comments.
So you say you comment to your own post and put the hashtags there?
Exactly. It's just a way to keep it a little bit cleaner. You don't have to do it that way. The OG way was putting it in the actual caption of the post. But the reason why people have shifted to putting it in the comment is just because it looks cleaner. So when someone is scrolling, they won't see that you stuff 30 hashtags in your caption. It doesn't have to be done the comment way. It's a preference that people have to make their posts look cleaner. And some scheduling platforms allow you to do this within the platform. So for example, Later, which is the platform that's owned by Instagram, they offer a freemium version. So Later is a great scheduling platform, and they have a free option. But to be able to schedule out the first comment with all the captions in it, or whatever content you want, they charge you for that feature. So I found that a lot of the paid platforms will allow you to do that. A lot of the free ones won't, but you can always do it manually, or you can always schedule it out in the caption, and then later you can remove it and manually comment it also.
Quick question. You mentioned the hashtags and stories. Mm-hmm. Does adding location, does that act like a hashtag in your post and stories? How does that benefit?
Location does benefit. It's not the exact same as a hashtag. It works differently, but people will also see content that's tagged with locations they've interacted with in their Explore feed. And if you're also doing any type of advertising, they use hashtags and locations to display that information as well. So the more you can do to a post, the better. Adding a location will make it more likely that somebody finds it when they're on their explore page, if they've engaged that location, if they've checked in there before. So I would recommend including a location with every post. If your target market is the LA area, I would select a different city for every post. Santa Monica, Westlake, Los Angeles, Hollywood, just kind of bouncing around the cities to try to get all the different micro areas. Okay, I'm going to give us about 4 more minutes for this exercise, and then I'm just going to jump back into the presentation to wrap it up and see if we have any other Q&A, any other questions.
when you put a hashtag in there, your content shows up under that hashtag. How do people see that? Is it only when they're in Explore those will show up?
The Explorer is the main way. Sometimes people can follow hashtags, so then it will show up within their feed as they're scrolling on their own page. So for example, I like to follow the digital marketing hashtag. So when I'm scrolling through my personal feed and I have all the accounts, I'll also get the top posts from the hashtags that I follow. The last way is if someone's doing any type of search. Sometimes people search a hashtag if they're bored or they want to do research, or they heard about something. So there's multiple ways people can get exposed to your content based on the hashtags.
I have a quick question about the branded hashtags.
Mm-hmm.
So as a small company, I just don't see, like, why would I have a branded hashtag? What value does it? No one's necessarily searching for my brand yet, hopefully someday. But like, what value is it adding right now to create these branded hashtags?
So you can incentivize people to use your branded hashtags. And the reason why we want to do this is to obviously build a community around your brand. So you can incentivize this by either doing a promotion, offering something, or just encouraging it or what type of business do you have?
I have an organic skincare line.
Okay, so you would maybe add your branded hashtag on your product packaging or wrapping or email newsletter. So you can add it in there. And you could also have campaign branded hashtags. So if you're running a specific campaign, or if you have a slogan or things like that, that would also be considered branded, even if it doesn't have your full brand name in it. If it has something to do with a campaign you ran, maybe you're promoting mental health month. So it could be a little bit, off of the complete main brand, but if it's campaign based, you could still consider that a branded hashtag. Okay, so I'm going to ask everyone to kind of wrap it up now. So just wrapping up my presentation, I wanted to share a few things that I offer if anybody was interested or wanted to kind of dive deeper. So I offer something called a content strategy session where you and I would sit down either one-on-one, or I offer this as a masterclass that kind of do it yourself, do it your own pace. So we would identify all of the different types of content you should be posting on Instagram. And then I would actually do the hashtag strategy for you if you were doing the one-on-one session, or I teach you how to do it like we just did in the webinar. I also offer custom social design templates where I would design usually between 15 to 20 templates for your feed that you would be able to edit yourself to change out the content if you were doing your own social media management. Obviously, I handle everything as well. But for a lot of smaller entrepreneurs, sometimes, budgets are tighter and they just want help getting things started or getting templates done so they can edit and create content themselves, or even hire a virtual assistant to do that for them. But when it comes to the design, you really want someone that knows graphic design, knows your brand. Speaking of brand, I also offer complete brand book design, logo design, brand development, and lastly, an Instagram makeover, and also which includes creating your custom highlights for your story. So just giving your bio a quick read through, helping improve maybe the copy, the call to action, setting up that link tree, anything in that sense. And beyond social media, I also help with marketing in a variety of ways. I do website development, paid advertising, lots of graphic design. So if you guys need any help with your business, feel free to reach out. This is how you can contact me. My direct email is here. Feel free to check out the website or add me on social media. And to wrap it up, we only have about 5 minutes left, but if anyone has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. So I would recommend Buffer if you want to use LinkedIn, and it connects to pretty much all of them. That's what I've been using if I want to include LinkedIn and if I have multiple accounts as well. I believe the cheapest plan is around $15 a month, but that seems to have worked really well for me. I would expect, let's talk about growth. I would expect your account to grow about 200 to 300 followers a month if you're actually being consistent with everything I taught you today. I had a client last year who started at 300 and we hit 1,000 followers in a month and a half. A combination of her posting consistently and then my team handling the engagement side, because it really should be a daily task. If you are serious about growing your account, you want to be engaging 30 minutes to an hour every single day. And I know this can sound kind of draining, which is why you might hire a virtual assistant or a marketing assistant to help with these tasks. But if you're committed and the engagement doesn't have to be one at like sit down for an hour and do it. It could be 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So if you're waiting for a doctor appointment, get on Instagram and engage, things like that. So really utilizing, all of your downtime throughout the day to get on and engage. But I would say 200 a month is the minimum of what I would expect if you're taking this seriously and doing using all these tips and tricks. Absolutely. And that's really where the content strategy comes in. So your content should be driving sales. And if you're not selling from Instagram, then my first guess would be that you don't have any strategy behind the content you're posting. I would say about 25% of your posts should be around your offering or pushing people down a funnel without being in their face. So usually it's through tactics like using a freebie to get someone in your funnel, or if you're selling a product, it could be offering a discount code or something like that. You want to get people to act quickly and you want to create a sense of urgency. So within your content strategy, you develop promotions and sales and other urgent, kind of events that will drive people down your funnel and drive people to purchase with you. I would say it's different business to business. I would definitely recommend testing both. I'm not sure what Instagram takes as a percentage or if they take a cut. So I would just say I'd want to test it out and then see the numbers to determine that. I can definitely believe that, especially considering that Instagram is extremely visual. It's pretty much purely visual, and having good quality photos will definitely improve your engagement and I wouldn't say visibility, but I guess visibility because of the engagement side. But I definitely would recommend having good quality photos for any platform you post on. I mean, I'm from a marketing standpoint, so everything needs to look pretty. But I have seen that professionally taken photos have a way higher engagement rate than unprofessional or blurry photos. But that's not to say that your iPhone or your cell phone wouldn't be able to take those high quality photos. It's just about getting the right lighting, making sure they're in focus, and making sure they look more on the professional side. This is why I often help clients with a content strategy, because one of the most difficult parts is sitting down and doing it. So having a little bit of structure and pretty much like a to-do list of what you need to post about and cycling through it will help quicken the content creation process. So you have all these ideas and it's sometimes overwhelming, or you just don't know where to start. So what I do with the content strategy is I just literally cycle through, and I'm sure since you already have a spreadsheet with ideas, I would task you with trying to do 3 posts a week to start off with, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's just 12 posts a month. So if you sat down, I think you could knock it out in like 1 to 2 hours and just get everything on the platform, and then the whole month is done. And then you feel, really refreshed. So whether you do that by yourself or you have kind of a social media assistant, I like to do a month's worth of content at a time, every time, for all my clients, for my own accounts, which I haven't been doing much of lately. But I do a month at a time, plan it out. That way, you can kind of sit back and relax and see how people engage with it, so you have time before the next month. But if you're just doing 3 posts a week, it's really just 12. You can incorporate holidays, so that might take up 2 posts. You can do a review or a testimonial, that's a post. You can do 2 educational topics, 1 pain point. And also one thing that you can do every month or every other month, depending on how many times you're posting, is introducing yourself and sharing your story. And you can reshare this content. You should consider that as you grow your account, you're getting new followers. So you want to be reintroducing yourself each time. So it's okay to kind of cycle through old content, because you're introducing it to new people. So once you have these content pillars and you just kind of cycle through, you can get your 12 posts like that. We have passed the 5 o'clock mark. So unless we have anything else, I would like to wrap up this session and hopefully hear from you guys or see you guys again soon. Thank you to everyone for showing up. I really enjoyed this. Definitely gonna probably teach a couple more sessions on different topics at the hub. So stay tuned for those announcements. And like I said, I'd be happy. Anybody wants to reach out to schedule, a one-on-one consultation, I'd be happy to do that. Other than that, once again, thank you guys for coming.